Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell. While you're enjoying this podcast, please share it out on your social media and be sure to like the podcast on the service of your choice. It's Big 12 Tournament Week, one of my favorite weeks. I'm going to be going out to Kansas City to cook against 8 other Pitmasters representing Big 12 schools in several different pork categories with Prairie Fresh. It's going to be a lot of fun against some great competition. So this week's podcast is a short hitter, a topic-specific podcast, and it's very good. We get with Brad Leighninger from Getting Basted, 3-time KCBS Team of the Year, Jack winner, Memphis winner, and we talk about the one thing that separates the great from everybody else, and that is consistency, and we talk about how he achieves that and what he's looking for. So enjoy this podcast. We are here today with 3-time KCBS Team of the Year, Brad Leighninger from Getting Basted. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Fresh off my, I should say, our Georgia ass kicking, our yearly Georgia ass kicking.
Right. It's it's one of those things. I looked at Todd Smith after the awards, and I said, "We know better, but we're still sitting here. Like, I don't understand why we're here." But
well, I figure we need a little humility in our life, and that contest every year always deals it out to us. So that's what I like to think anyway. It kind of keeps us humble.
Right,
as humble as we get anyway.
I think it's a good kick in the ass to get you motivated to do things the right way.
Absolutely.
But outside of Georgia, and this is why I wanted to spend a few minutes with you today, outside of Georgia, you have a consistency that goes from contest to contest that I think is pretty remarkable. So I wanted to spend I think a lot of people agree with me, that you're one of the most consistent cooks in history, probably, in that you can get your results to translate regardless of whether you have your trailer, whether you have your motorhome, whether you have help. You can travel anywhere and you can produce the same result, food-wise especially. What do you think are the major keys for that?
It's kind of funny because I was on the phone with Sterling Ball this morning, and we were talking about a similar thing. And I think, experience is always the best teacher. And I haven't always been that way. I mean, I've always had some success, but I think just cooking contests and getting to be where, it's funny because you cook a year and you're like, man, I don't know where the improvements are going to come next year. And then your first contest rolls around next year and it's that much better. And you're like, man, I thought I was cooking good food before, but now I'm cooking really good food. You know what I mean? And I think it's just putting in the reps. I think that's the only way that it can happen. We've got a lot of things out there. We've got classes. We got the barbecue league. We've got, a lot of things out there to learn how to cook. But in order to do it consistently and to turn in stuff that's going to score, that is going to score everywhere week to week, it takes those reps and it takes putting in the miles. And I think the fact that I've done that over the last few years really has translated to the consistency that I'm able to achieve.
How much of that do you think is a result of the products that you use in terms of like meats and traveling with the same meats? Do you think that also allows for a lot of consistency?
Well, I mean, I think knowing what you want to cook and then going out and finding the best product you can find is just important anywhere, right? If you're inconsistent in what you're cooking, the results are going to be inconsistent. So absolutely putting the time in before the contest to really do the work and get the product that is going to turn out the way you want it to turn out. Very key. And it's a key mental aspect too, not going to a contest with subpar products. Going to a contest with a piece of, with a brisket or with some pork or some ribs that can win and compete. It's 100% part of it. And I always joke around the old coach speak. You can't win a barbecue contest on Wednesday, but you can sure as hell lose one. So and I truly do live by that.
One of the things that I really marveled at this weekend, and I've seen you do it several times, and I make a lot of jokes about it, but it is actually fascinating to me about how you can travel so lightly and still achieve a great product at the end. I could tell in Walmart that you have a routine in Walmart when you're traveling and the things that you need to get.
Yeah, and part of that is using stuff that you can find when you travel, but a lot of it is I've become more consistent as I've simplified my program. So I use, a lot of rubs are similar, right? A lot of sauces are similar. So I've just simplified myself into stuff that I can fit in basically half of a suitcase. I can pack an entire contest, including, sauces, rubs, wrap ingredients, injections, all the tools that I need to do everything, pots, pans, whatever that I can't buy at Walmart, I could fit in half of a suitcase. And I've just come around that over the years and just learned that. And I think we talked about this a little bit there in Georgia, that really, as long as you're putting something on there that's a good rub, you don't need 50 of them, right? Use one or two good rubs. You could, that same rub, whether it's pork or a rib, why somebody would go out and think XYZ is good on pork, but XYZ can't work on ribs. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? It's all a pig. So you don't need to sit there and have 100 different things and this nuanced stuff. And, oh man, I've got to do this, this, and this, man. A couple of good rubs, a couple of good sauces, and then go out there and nail tenderness and know how to finish. And you're going to get the results that you want. I mean, there's a ton of good products out there. Doesn't matter what they are, but you don't need 100 of them.
Right. I agree with you. I think that our cooking has gotten better as we've gotten simpler in our recipe and less to think about, less to bring, eliminate variables. Do you think that how much better do you think your food is right now than it was 3 years ago?
Oh, it's night and day right now. I mean, it's hard to explain, but one of these days, like I remember, when I first figured out pork. I was having success in pork, but I first figured it out and I tasted it and I handed it to Michael. I said, Michael, this is what we're trying to do every time. You know what I mean? This is what we're trying to, and I've got my thing where my food is now. It's exactly where I want it to be. And I sit there going into this year. It's like, okay, where's that improvement going to come from? And I am cooking, and I had a pretty good year in 2018, if you remember, but I'm cooking so much better food now just from those reps. But the thing is, everybody is. I mean, this game, and I think anybody that's doing it understands that if you're not advancing, if you're not getting better, you're getting left behind. So my food is better than it was 3 years ago, without a doubt. But everybody's food is better, and so you have to kind of stay ahead of that, or you're going to get left behind, and you're not going to be winning barbecue contests anymore.
Yeah, everybody's gotten better, and I think that's because of the amount of information that's available to people. Whether it's through the advent of the barbecue league or videos from other places, I think there's a lot more information out there, which to me makes it more impressive in how you've maintained staying on top like that.
That's those repetitions, Luke. I mean, we were talking and we kind of did a deep dive into barbecue data this morning with Sterling Ball. We're looking at like, okay, my first, 60 to 70 contests, his first 60 to 70 contests. And I had a lot of success early, but what I did was, and I think a lot of guys are winning early, I cooked, in that 2012, 2013, 2014, I cooked 50 to 60 contests, say 60 contests, and I only had 3 or 4 wins. And I had an opportunity to hone my craft and to get in there where I could get consistent, right? I could make mistakes. I could learn. And if you look at Sterling Ball, he had a very similar trajectory at the start of his career out. And it really wasn't until 2015, 2016 going on in that I really kind of locked it in. And what I think is, you've got a lot of resources out there and you've got a lot of information out there. But right now, I think it's extremely difficult to be able to go out there and hone your craft because of the price of barbecue, right? Like you just look at the fact that in today's dollars, I probably spent 60 or 70 grand. It's not like a small amount, but that's what I had spent. In today's dollars, you'd have to go out and spend 150 to 200 grand to get the kind of experience that I got in those first 3 or 4 years that I cooked. And I just don't know if that's practical anymore. And I think that's kind of a negative in the sport right now. Like, I don't know if somebody could do what I did, given the economics of barbecue right now. They'd have to have way more money and sense anyway to give it a go.
Right. And I think that's indicative of anything right now, just because everything's much more expensive. But you're 100% correct. And, being able to jump in and cook 25 contests right out the bat, out the gate, I'm not sure that's feasible anymore.
Yeah, I mean, in my 2014, man, I cooked 32 contests and I won 2 of them. I had 4 reserves. And that's the year that I really, I put down more top 10s than I didn't. I put down, I'd say probably 65, 70% top 10s, but that's really the year that I put in that I started developing my consistency. From 2015 to 2022, that's really when I've been consistent. But that 2014 year was critical. And given the fact that year putting in 32 contests right now would probably cost me close to $100,000, if you take in equipment, you take in everything else, man, I'm just not sure anybody can afford to do that, right? I'm not sure anybody can afford to go out there and put those repetitions in that are key to getting to the level that some of the top guys are. Without the, getting divorced or going broke or whatever it is, man, because it's, and I think it's a problem. I mean, I think it's something that some of the sanctioning bodies, be it Fred's or KCBS or whoever, needs to step up and solve and give some people some opportunity to hone their craft and get to a consistent level where I'm at, and having some success.
Yeah, it's definitely something they could look at changing. But speaking of changes, because of your consistency and where you are right now, what does it take for you to make a major change in your program?
Oh, it doesn't take. I know what's good. I know what wins. I know what doesn't win. So it doesn't really, take me a big leap of faith to sit there and swing and do something, right? I mean, I'll try stuff. I'm so much more comfortable experimenting and trying new things right now because I know what the end product needs to be to go out on there. So like when I made a switch from, started putting wings in the box last year, to be a prime example, or started putting, coming into the new pork rule, making a change on that. Like I'm extremely comfortable making those changes, Luke, just because I know at the end of the day, I think I have a pretty good idea what kind of barbecue wins. And I know that I can end up putting that in the box and editing myself down. So really for me to make a big swing, I don't even practice it. Like if I want to try something, I'll go out there and try it and try it for a few contests and figure out whether or not it's going to score or not. I mean, I've got an idea on brisket and I've been doing it and it worked really well in Houston. It's not working in KCBS for whatever reason. I've been running it for a little bit. I think it should, but me bashing my head up against it and saying something should work doesn't mean it's going to. So, I've given it a run at a few contests. I'll probably back off of that, but I'm absolutely willing to try new things. And I think you have to now. I think, I'll take the blame. A lot of this is my fault in classes in the barbecue league. I think the homogenization of barbecue gives you that opportunity to stand out a little bit. Because the judges are getting so many of the same entries. So I don't think necessarily a little bit of going counter to that can have big dividends.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of anyone or anything that can introduce some creativity into what we do. I think it's a big way to, one, like you said, differentiate, but also to keep things interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you very much. I love doing these quick little topic-specific podcasts. They're a lot of fun. We'll probably have a lot more content coming out here in the next few days, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we got a Luke Darnell chicken tell-all coming out of the barbecue league. Everybody's going to want to check out for sure. I know I'm excited to see it.
I was excited to do it and to give people something a little bit different on there. But I'm sure we'll have a lot of TikTok and a lot of video content coming out of the Big 12 tournament this week. And looking forward to seeing you out there, buddy.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see you down there. When are you coming in, by the way?
I leave today and get there tonight. So
awesome. Yep, I will be there. I haven't decided if I'm going to get up early in the morning or leave tonight, but hopefully I can get out there tonight. If not, I'll see you first thing in the morning.
Sounds good, bud. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2022.